Welcome to Shibuya. This is Hachiko Scramble in the center of this area. And I was asked a question recently, one that's very relevant to the situation. If I would ever leave Tokyo. How you doing? I'm gonna be walking around Shibuya a little bit and discuss this topic with you. I'm gonna have to keep my mask on because it is a very crowded area, but for the next 5 seconds, I'm just saying hi with my normal face here. All right, on we go. So, would I ever leave Tokyo? That's a tough one, and I think if you walk around Shibuya here, you kind of get an idea that this area is so loud, it's so crowded, it's so crazy, and I think that's something when you first come to Tokyo, you really, really love it. But as the years go on, and I've been here for quite a while, it can get kind of old. I know, it can get kind of old, just a little bit. So there's a little bit of an iffy bandwidth here. Let me get out to the center. Maybe the bandwidth will get a little bit better here. Hold on a second. Julie Tai writes in no. Some of these things are out of my control. The crossing here, it's red for 90 seconds and it's green for 45 seconds. So let's cross the Shibuya crossing and try to social distance. If you're looking on a live, I'm really trying hard to social distance. If you're watching on a live cam of Shibuya crossing, you can probably see me right now. There's a slight delay on these cameras. But I'm gonna stop here for a second. Just try to distance myself. It's really hard. Would I ever leave Tokyo? Yes, I would. I absolutely would. And I've been thinking seriously about leaving Tokyo over the last couple of weeks, months, and years, in fact. I came to Tokyo, I moved here in 2004, but I moved to Japan in 1998. My first 6 years here in Japan, I was not living here in Tokyo. I was living out in the countryside. Places like Iwaki in Fukushima, Numazu in Shizuoka, Kasugai, Fujinomiya, that's in Shizuoka, Kasugai in Nagoya. I also lived in, so many places. Okayama, Kurashiki, Mito, Utsunomiya, Hiroshima, Higashi Kakogawa. And I would come to Tokyo every now and then. You have to if you want to. A lot of the embassies were here. And I loved to come here. You know, when you saw a train, a Shinkansen or a local train that had Tokyo on the side of it, you know that like Tokyo's reputation preceded itself. It was the big city. And when you live in the countryside, it was pretty exciting to get on that train, board it, get into Tokyo Station, or you'd get off at Shinagawa, get on the Yamanote line and come to a place like this. How you doing, Martin? It's really exciting, and there's a Yamanote line right now going by there. But I moved here to Tokyo in a place called Futako Tamagawa or Nikotama to locals in 2004, teaching at an English school. Just about 3 stops from Shibuya, and I was always here at Shibuya Crossing filming for another show that I was producing back in 2004, 2005, before YouTube, and it was the energy here is amazing. I loved it, and I think the first couple of years, the first time you visit Japan, it's so infectious. But for those that live in New York City, how many of them really like to go to Times Square? It's a place that people avoid. It's a place where I avoid. But Tokyo, there's a couple of things that you have to know about Tokyo before I make this broad statement of would I ever leave Tokyo. So the answer is yes, and I think if you're gonna raise a family or as you get older or if you've been here for too long, I think moving back to the countryside where the population is shrinking is actually a really good thing. It's healthy to do that, and it's a really positive thing for the economy right now. But is it fun? Is it something that you want to do? The great thing about Tokyo and living here is that it's got just about everything. It wasn't always like that. But when I came here in 2004, there weren't a lot of chain shops. There was no Taco Bell. There was no like gourmet burgers. There was Moss Burger, but there wasn't, there's a lot of McDonald's. There was a Hard Rock Cafe, but that really wasn't too much of what I was looking for. That guy's laughing kind of funnily at me. Hey now, it's my job. And over the years, I've seen the city evolve in an amazing way. All these chain shops have come in, for better or for worse. There's even a Carl's Jr. Shake Shack is here. Every single restaurant chain that I can think of, except maybe In-N-Out Burger. Come on, In-N-Out Burger. That's all here in Tokyo, and that makes it so exciting. But that's also a reason why maybe that's not the ideal place to live. And a lot of people have been asking me, if you're going to be doing the JET program or you're going to be going somewhere as a teacher, a lot of people want to be situated right here in the capital, right here in the city, because there's so many things to do. But if you're trying to learn Japanese, if you're trying to get involved in the culture, if you're trying to make friends, it's probably best not to be in the city of Tokyo. And over the next 15, 20 minutes, I hope that I could explain this to you, that Tokyo is part of Japan, but it is not all of Japan. I think you know that. All right, we're gonna hang a right. This is Basketball Street, and they love to blast music here. They love to blast the copyrighted music, and I had to talk. Okay, it's nice to be off of the main alley there. Jeff Ang writes in here, hi, John, get something refreshing. You got it. I'm gonna do that in a second. And Edo is here. John, please stay in Japan. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not gonna leave Japan. And I'm not leaving Tokyo per se, but I am considering a move because let's face it. How many YouTubers are here in the city of Tokyo? A lot. There's a lot of content, but I don't want to cover things that are in Tokyo so often. Everybody's done it like 10 times. Most of the stories that interest me are out in the countryside. And a friend of mine named Cody, who has an amazing site called Ramen Guide Japan, go check out his Instagram. He's got some amazing pictures and stories about ramen. Up and coming creator. I met him through working with the food ranger, Trevor, when we went down to Shikoku. Amazing guy. And we went to scout a restaurant, a ramen restaurant in Kanda that had some history. We walked in there. I went there at 10:45 when the shop opened. I asked the owner if we can, we asked him lots of questions and asked him if we could film about the history of his shop, because it's an old shop. And he asked us to come back at 3 p.m. when he had more time to talk. And I said, cool. So Cody waited. I went back home and Cody waited at a cafe in Akihabara for a few hours. We both went back to this ramen shop, and the restaurant was still a little bit busy, even in this period. This was just a couple of weeks ago. Was it? I think it was even less than that. And we sat down and we talked about it, and he said that this is Tokyo for you. He goes, no, I don't want you to film. And I said, okay, but why did you ask us to come back? You know, like I was curious about this, but wait. He said that he's on TV all the time. I was really confused by this. This is Tokyo. This is summing up my experiences with Tokyo. It's not Japan. All right. He says he doesn't want me to fill the shop. If I were to film that ramen shop, he said there'd be a lot of visitors, and he has a lot of regular customers, and he doesn't want the shop to be overfilled. He only had 10 seats in there. And I agreed that that's probably not a great thing to have it filled, but the guy's on TV all the time, and he said he had a TV network coming the next day. So why is it okay to film Japanese TVs and you would be afraid to film with me? And actually, foreign tourists can't come here right now, so no one would be coming to your shop, except maybe some Japanese viewers. And he said, well, I just don't want to do it. And I said, okay, I understand. I didn't really understand, but you don't want to do a show where where the person is hesitant to give you permission. So we both walked out and scratched our heads and said, why didn't he tell us this at 10 a.m.? So in the end, I don't know. That's why Tokyo is so hard to film and why so many YouTubers guerrilla shoot and don't ask for permission. You can't get permission. And if you ask for permission, the answer is almost always no, because they don't want people to come to the shops and feel it is really hot. Shiso burger. That looks really good. Oh, getting hungry. Enjoy some lunch from Shane and I. Hey, Irvan. Hey, Shane. Wax on and wax off. So that was my experience just a couple of weeks ago and made me think Tokyo is not really easy to film in. It's not really easy to get stories. Even if a place has a very compelling story, it's very, very hard to get them to say yes to film it. Even if you give them a blueprint and a plan, they don't want to be more crowded. And to be honest, a lot of people just don't want foreigners to come into their shop if it's got a history. So let's go get a drink at this vending machine. Thanks, Irvan. We're gonna put this to good use here. So I started to think, and well, look, if all these people don't want me to film the stories here, why am I here? What should I get? Evian. It's a strange looking water. No. Coffee jelly looks good. No. Hey, they got Sprite. I was looking for Sprite for ages. No. Bacardi Sweat looks good. All right, let's replace the electric lights. I think I got a 50 yen coin. So this is kind of cool. The 50 yen coins and the 5 yen coins have holes in them. See that? Nice. As a YouTube creator, Tokyo stinks. I'm gonna say that right now. There's too many people here making content, and owners and most of the people don't want you here filming. So why be here? To be honest, I really dig Kyushu. I love that island. Fukuoka is an up-and-coming city. People are a lot more friendly. They love the attention. Osaka is really great. Not enough YouTubers in Osaka. I'd love to be down in Okinawa. Think about that. The tropical beaches and nice weather, except when there's a typhoon rolling through, like right now. Oh, that's so good. I rode my bike here to film a video opening. This is interesting. This is a souvenir vending machine from Japan, except, I don't know. They have some weird things in here. I guess those are like magnets. That's way too expensive. If you just go to this shop around the corner, you could probably get this stuff at a third of the price. Origami earrings are kind of neat though. Tourist trap. But there's no tourists, so it's probably not even stocked very well. So nobody's buying them. If you're at, now I've been reporting for NHK since 2008, and that's a job. I've also done a lot of videos for other TV networks, written scripts, casting, a lot of stuff I've been able to do. And for that reason, Tokyo's good for jobs. Tokyo's a place where there's lots of jobs. But if you're a YouTube creator, you could live anywhere. You could come to Tokyo when you need to film the content. You don't need to be here. So I'm at a point now where I have to think seriously, is this where I want to be and this is where I want to spend the rest of my days? Probably not. But that doesn't mean that you leave Japan. There's 47 prefectures here. All of them have some sort of uniqueness to it. Just the other day, somebody left a comment in me, and said that, said the comment, it's not called chado, it's called sado. This is the tea ceremony. And sado is the way of the tea ceremony. Yeah, that's how they say it in Kyoto, but chado is the way they said it in Kanazawa. So this person who was telling me, saying that I was wrong was actually wrong because they didn't know that Japan has regional dialects and different ways to say things. And I think that if everyone is making videos in Tokyo and Kyoto and doing the same content over and over again, is it really valuable to be here in Tokyo filming the same stuff and the same parks? I don't know. It's going to be something that I think about seriously after the Olympics. This is something that possibly I was going to make the jump to leave Tokyo after the Olympics. Kanai's family's here. There are a lot of reasons to stay in Tokyo, but there's a lot of reasons to leave too. The city is always changing. And to be honest with you, because I'm always honest with you, well, most of the time, the content I film, usually I'm not in Tokyo. The next episode, I'm in Shiga prefecture, or I'm in a completely different area of the country, Hokkaido, Kyushu, Shikoku. I'm going down to Kochi again to film down in Shikoku. So it's not like I need to be here in Tokyo. But what Tokyo, so the good things for Tokyo, sneak in the corner here. So the good things, these masks are hard to breathe in. So the good thing for Tokyo is that it is an incredible hub. So if I want to jump on a flight, get on the Shinkansen, go up to Tohoku, it's pretty much in the center and I can get around real easily, all right? Tokyo's got that going for it. There's two airports. There's Narita and there's Haneda. So the flights out of Tokyo are usually a little bit cheaper. If I lived down in Kyushu, I would have to probably get a connecting flight. And the Shinkansen trips to get up to Hokkaido and Tohoku are really long from Kyushu and quite expensive. You have to fly. From Tokyo, I can get on a Shinkansen and get to one end or the other end in 7 hours. So that kind of makes a difference. I think that's a reason for Tokyo. If you're using this as a hub for a YouTuber to film from one place to another, Tokyo is really good. But there's so many things against Tokyo too. The price of real estate, the rent that I pay for a 2 LDK, 2 rooms, living, dining, and kitchen is where Kanai and I live. We live in a 2 LDK. It's really, really expensive. And if I lived in another part of Japan, it would be a third the price. A third. There's that big mega Don Quixote. Do you see that over there? That's a big one. I'm not going in there. Try to stay outside. And this Labi, that's the one with in Akihabara that went out of business across from the Denki Town exit. They're not doing very good. A lot of these outlets that have been depending on foreign tourists aren't doing too good. So there's that, you know. It's a tough decision. We'll see if I have other work as well. Recently, I've been doing more stuff for NHK and for Japanese TV and consulting as well. I don't just do YouTube, but I do some consulting on the side and other things to help with inbound tourism. Guest on a couple of news programs. Sometimes inbound tourism has not been a topic for a long time, so I don't have a lot of work to do in that world. But if I were to leave Tokyo, a lot of those jobs would dry up. But new ones would open with local television networks that definitely would probably need somebody like me to help them out. I don't know. I think she's a YouTuber, right? Yeah, she's a YouTuber. So what do you think? Do I make a compelling argument to leave the city, and do you want me to? Is there something so magical about Tokyo that I need to be here that another YouTuber can't bring you? So everybody's buddy Paolo, he lives in Tokyo. He makes content here. Do I need to be making the same content as him? I don't, but there's a lot of really good creators that are making content. They have Tokyo in the name of their channel. Mine has Japan. I'm national, baby. It's 109. That's right. Give me the tab. Where's this typhoon? I canceled my trip to Nagoya today so I could stay safe. Kanai asked me not to go to Nagoya, so I didn't go. It's sunny. What's up with that? We can collab. I don't know. Really? Other live streamers are too on Genki. Probably. This live streaming platform, I've been doing it for 2.5 years now, 3 years. It's not that easy. You have to have a story. I don't even, you have to ask them, why are they doing it? You know? What's the point? Beer! That's what the point is. Whoa! They spelt it correctly. I always, when they put 2 exclamation points, I always put a smiley face underneath here. Who does that? Who does that? That looks nice. Oh, here's the store. I think I brought you here the other day. It's got the trademarked logo of Zensuji. I tell them where I have a lot of friends there. It's nice. I was here just a couple of days ago. Nicholas, welcome to the Travelers. Awesome. KS Braidad. Wherever you go, it has to have pigeons, cats, and late night food. I think that's about everywhere. Go where you and Kenai can be happy. We're pretty happy here. This is where her family is, and that's another reason why I might not be going at all. Something to consider. Robert UI, thank you. Marty's here. I will take you up on that, Marty. Stop teasing, you aren't moving. I am so not staying here for more than a year, okay? I'm so not gonna, there's no way I'm gonna be staying in Tokyo forever. No way. I love this city. In Tokyo, the one thing I want to impress on you, there's nobody around me. The one thing I want to impress on you really quickly is that Tokyo is not just the city here. Tokyo has 23 wards, 20, just like New York has 5 boroughs, right? Tokyo's 23 wards are pretty neat and all that. But Tokyo is also like a state, like New York State. And there's so many wonderful places in West Tokyo. And the islands, like Ogasawara, 24-hour ferry ride out into the Pacific. That's Tokyo. Aogashima, Tokyo. So Tokyo is a lot more diverse than we give it credit for. Sometimes we forget that Tokyo is also places like Tachikawa, which is this suburban, oh my gosh. It's colorful. Tachikawa out there, Mount Takao, which is the most climbed mountain in the world, I believe. Takao-san. Okutama, which is a really great place for hiking. I love the Okutama area. Really good Nihonshu, feels like countryside. Pretty close to Chichibu, which is in Saitama, very famous for the flowers and the gardens and really natural products. The world's most expensive egg, for example, out in there in the Chichibu area. Okutama is a beautiful place. I could see myself living out there. That's Tokyo, but it's like an hour and a half local train ride to get into the city. So sometimes it's not as, sometimes it's, I like the little Japanese garden they put here. That's different if you haven't been here in a while. I think that they did this for the Olympics. Must be. So there's that, you know. Tokyo is a really big state. You could go out west. It would take you 2 days to walk, 3-4 days to walk across Tokyo maybe. I don't know. I should try that. What do you think? Nothing. He's not even wearing a mask today. Dude, pandemic is not over. Get your mask on, Hutch. And wash your hands. I used to live in a city called Kakogawa, not that far away from Kobe. And when I lived in Okayama, Hiroshima, and Kakogawa, I would very often go to Osaka for nightlife. And I would have friends and we would take the train into Osaka and then we would probably blow like 10,000 yen having fun, then come back the next morning. Yeah, you know, Osaka and the Kansai region is stacked. All right, let me get across here. The Kansai region is so stacked with attractions. In fact, I don't know why you guys fly into Tokyo at all. Tokyo's crowded, it's noisy, it's overpriced, It's finding a hotel room has become harder with all the tourism when you can come here. So my point is, and we're leaving, by the way. We're leaving now, Hachiko Scramble. It's so hot. I might lose the signal here. Listen to the sound of my voice, despite the Minecrafting. I'll be back. The signal will return. Mind the gap. Well, my point is simple. I'm not gonna be here forever, folks. So every single live stream from Tokyo is precious. I might be living in another area. The show will go on. I'll never stop doing it. And the show's called Only in Japan, so no matter where I live. And I actually would love to live like 2-3 months in one place and move. I would love to do that too. The stories are out there to take. Stories that these thousands of YouTubers that have come into Tokyo are filming the same things over and over again. There's so many stories that nobody is filming because they don't leave this city. And I feel bad about that. And I know where these stories are. The pandemic has kept me inside. He was like filming me. So I filmed him. That's cool. So he's in my video, and if I end up on like a billboard somewhere, I'll know who to send the bill. Shane's here. Irvon, the three amigos have spoken. Look at that tourist bus. Hey, Nicholas. Would love a random beer with you when I make a trip to Tokyo. I'm gonna do more meetups as soon as this pandemic's over. Somebody stopped me before I started the live stream on the street, and I had to keep my distance. I took a step back just to, I know it seemed like a little bit impolite, but during the times I think it's very understandable. Now the question is, if I don't live in Tokyo, where would you like to see me go? Sound off. Ryan, move in with the king of Osaka. He's got a guinea pig. I don't know if he can make space for me. The guinea pig takes up a lot of space. It's true. Mary O from the Philippines, you're being, thanks for being you. Thank you, Mary. That's so kind of you. Ramen Raf, I've been lucky with ramen shops I filmed vlogs in so far. Yeah, you know, I think that it just depends on the owner, but the popular places, maybe you just catch the owner at the right time. But I'd say 4 out of 5 times, people reject my request to film in Tokyo. 4 out of 5. It's that 5th one that's golden. Sometimes I just keep going and I don't give up, and people will give you a chance to film if you sometimes just keep at it. But if you have a compelling storyboard and a plan for your episode, like the Blue Ramen episode that I produced just down the street from here, it's hard for them to say no in those kinds of situations, right? But not everybody wants quote unquote help. There has to be something in it for them. Meaning if I have to take a breathing break. Meaning if there's nothing in it for them to help me out, maybe they just want a media fee, maybe TV's paying them, 20,000 yen. I've been asked to pay media fees, and I have to scratch my head and think about it and say maybe it's worth it. There was a game center in Takaranobaba where I had to pay a media fee. It wasn't that big, but I had to pay in order to film in there for an hour. And I stretched it out to an hour and a half. I said, I'll pay if you let me do an hour and a half. And he said, okay. So at least I got something a little bit for my money. But you can't go in, he won't allow anybody to film in there, which is why there's not a lot of videos on it. But if you just pay a little bit of money, he will let you film with access to everything without having to look behind your back all the time. And that was worth it. But that's Tokyo. You don't, when I was in Dotonbori filming, I would walk to Dotonbori. I'd walk into the shop and say, hey, do you mind if we film here? Here's my business card. I'd like to introduce sushi. 5 seconds later, the manager comes in and goes, oh, yoroshiku and he sits me down and says, okay, come back in 10 minutes. We're gonna clean the shop. That's Osaka. They see the value. In Tokyo, they see it as a burden, In Osaka, they see it as a value, right? I don't know, just a different culture. That's why I really love Osaka. Could be Osaka. Could be Osaka, I don't know. So where would you like me to see? Sorry, I wasn't looking at the chat. I was trying to dry off naturally. Look at that sweat. Why is it sweaty on that side? Okayama, Osaka would be neat. Kamakura is nice. A lot of my friends have moved down there, creators. Moved to Sydney, a little far, a little far. Hokkaido would be nice. The winters would be tough. Hiroshima, I lived in Hiroshima for 2 years. Hiroshima might be my favorite, Hiroshima might be my favorite place to live. It's got everything in the center. It's got, what's the name of the street? I can't believe I'm forgetting it. It's got everything in that one little center in Hiroshima. And it's got a Shinkansen line. It's got a very inconvenient airport, but it's close enough to Osaka. It's a good place. Very good weather. I've got a very small face, so adult-sized masks never fit on me. Sendai, it's a pretty good base, but Sendai's a little bit far out there. San Diego's nice. Keep it classy. Kyoto's countryside would be nice. Maizuru down there on the coast of Japan, Sea of Japan side. Kyoto's another prefecture that's quite large, much bigger than people give it credit for. Kyoto is the imperial city. And then if you go out, it takes you all the way to the Sea of Japan. Kyoto is huge too. Oh, there's my bike. Shizuoka would be nice. Yokohama, I don't think so. If I'm moving from Tokyo, I'm probably gonna move from Yokohama too. Your mask is inside out. This is what it showed me to wear. This is a new kind of mask. Kevin wears his masks like this. If you wear the mask the other way, it leaves an impression on your nose, like a wrinkle. So there's that against wearing it the other way. I don't know. These are washable too. Yamagata would be nice. The answer is probably there's no perfect place to live. Each place has its own speciality. What I do like about Tottori prefecture is that they have an ANA airport there, and they have a JAL airport in Izumo. And that region, the Sanin region, people are so much friendlier. The food is so much better. It's fresher. They don't get really bad typhoons going through there because of Daisen, the mountain there. They say it has some of the best water in Japan. And people are pretty happy living in Tottori prefecture on the other side. I've got a ton of friends in Tottori as well. And I know people at all of the TV stations there, so I would have work. And I could YouTube anywhere. It's very easy to jump on a train. There's no Shinkansen. Okayama is the closest connection. But that would be an option, and nobody really knows a lot about that city. OHIO it's a great place for university. Yeah, I love the food in Tottori. Yeah, the feedback's great. Thanks, guys. If you have an idea of a place where I might want to move to, definitely leave it in the description. I don't have any plans immediately to leave Tokyo, okay? But the question that I asked was brought up to me by a viewer, and it is very, very good question, meaning I don't intend to stay here forever. I think it's mostly the Olympics that's keeping me here, and Kanai's family is based here, but if we saw the opportunity, we would leave too. I mean, there's a lot of really nice places to go. Where is the most boring city in Japan? Eddie writes in. Eddie, probably the countryside can be very, very boring, okay? Boring city. A lot of places are really, really boring, Eddie. I have to be honest with you. You buy a house, you live out there, there's nothing. You can read a lot of books and you can do a lot of editing out there and no one will bother you. That's sort of the point of living in a city. The question is, if you do have a family, do you want to be living in the city? Do you want to be living in Tokyo? Do you want your kids going to school here? Do you want, it's hard for me to envision that life. But if if we do have a family, then probably Tokyo is not an ideal place to raise a kid, is it? It's hard to see that happening. And the costs here just keep going up and up and up. But more and more people, younger people, are starting to go home. This is a trend that I've been seeing. After they finish university, a lot of people aren't getting jobs in Tokyo, so they're returning home and taking that know-how that they've gotten from the city and bringing it back to their hometowns. That is a good thing. And I think if we can build up, what I've been seeing is in Kochi, in Miyazaki, in some of these other places, in cities that are starting to have decreased populations and the government is taking action, they're inspiring people, younger people, to come back to open businesses with really good tax breaks. So now you're seeing really stylish cafes, bookstores. They're cleaning up abandoned houses and making shopping streets. It looks like a really beautiful, clean, stylish Japan that the younger people are making out there in some of these towns. And over the next 2 years, I'm going to go to some of these towns and feature them on the Only in Japan channel to give you a new kind of vibe. The direction that Japan is changing is that Tokyo is always going to be changing. Tokyo is always going to be here. But more and more people are starting to leave cities, especially after this pandemic, to return home because it's just safer, right? So over the next couple of years, I'm going to be taking you to some of these really stylish towns, show you how they're evolving and changing, and I think that's a really good story. And it's a kind of a template for other countries that have the same problem. A place is just a place. A home is where you hang your hat, I suppose. And it doesn't have to be in Tokyo, it can be anywhere. You might not have a lot of restaurants and, you might not feel that hustle and bustle, but it can be, you make home what it is. And Tokyo's been my home since 2004 for 16 years now, out of the 23 I've been living here. But it won't be my home forever. And it could be sad to think that, but it's also the evolutionary process of life, and life must go on. Tokyo's always going to be a part of me, folks. Thanks so much for the comments and for playing along. Leave me a comment below on an idea where you think that might be a better place to live, and I'd love to hear it for you. But don't you worry, Only in Japan won't stop filming. I got episodes coming out the wazoo. I don't even know what a wazoo is. I just been saying that expression a lot. Somebody said it and it stuck. So I got a lot of episodes coming out the wazoo. So the series is never going to be ending, but my home base might. So there's that. People bringing up some good comments. Wazoo is a butt. I think there's a town named Wazoo. I thought it was just like where the stream went. Up the wazoo, no? Wazoo River? No? Ando writes in butts. Oh, and like this video. I always forget to ask that. Hey, Ramsey Silent, have a great day. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Rams, for always being such a supporter. Much love. Okutama, Obama City and Fukui is interesting, too. All right, folks, have a good day. I'm going to the next location. I'm filming a video here in Tokyo. I'm not going to Korea, Ryan. I love Korea, but I'm not going there to live. I'll go there always to visit. Yuzu is a fruit. I love yuzu. I'm going to be featuring that in a video in a couple of months, too. Thanks, guys, for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next live stream, probably tomorrow. Shibuya. Niigata would be nice. Good sake in Niigata.